How's it going, YouTube? Jimmy here. So last time we left off on the Honda Civic, we were actually working with the dashboard and finishing that up. We did make a little bit of a modification to the bottom part of the vehicle. My cord's getting wrapped around. It's all entangled in me. Anyway, so yeah, in this tutorial we're going to go ahead and make the seats and probably also the center console. I found a couple images online. Now, I know this one's a 2016, but the interior is extremely similar, if not the exact same, so shouldn't have a problem there. And here's the view for the front seats and everything. So these seats are pretty generic, nothing to them at all. Creating these seats are actually going to be very easy, and I'll show you how to do that. So if we go into Maya, I'm just going to create a cube. I'm just going to slap it right here. Perfect. Not. So let's create a cube. I'm just going to click once. There we go. That's what I was wanting. And basically, I'll just widen it up some and stretch it out. You know, something kind of like that. Maybe go in just a little bit. You know, something about like that. It doesn't have to be exact. If you want the numbers, it's 1 point. Let's just say scale X 1.5, scale Y 0.5, and then scale Z 1.6. Simple numbers. So one thing to notice is that this part right here comes up, so we'll get that. And then we have this part right here. So I'm going to show you how to do that very, very easily. Go in here into Maya. I'm going to go into Face. I'm going to click right here. You know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control G. Actually, I'm not going to hit Control G. I'm just going to move this way out of the way. I'm just going to model it out here, because why not? So what we want to do is we want to hit Extrude. Pull these out just a little bit. You want this edge to be fairly tight. I'm going to press G on the keyboard, and we'll just go out a little bit like that. We'll click on Edge, or actually not yet. What we want to do is we actually want to scale this in just a little bit, and then we're going to deselect that, and then we'll hit Extrude. We will pull these out like so. I'm only going to pull them out to about here. So in Vertex, is what you're going to have is you're going to want, not Vertex, Edge I mean, you're going to want to click right about here on this one, and you're just going to pull this up. Something about like that. On these back edges, you'll just do that. And so now we're starting to get the shape that we'd expect to see. So what we want to do is we want to go into Edge Loop, and we'll create an edge loop right about here and one right about here. So once again, that's just like that. And as you can see now, we're starting to get more of that shape. Next thing we want to do is we're going to create an edge loop right about here somewhere. We'll do the same thing. So now we're starting to get more of that shape. And finally is what we want to do. We want to click on these two edges, and we want to pull these in about right there, because we're going to start working on this part right here. And this actually has a elongated part, so we're going to go ahead and do that real quick. So what we're going to do is we're going to move these two in, something like that. I'm just going to move them right about here. We'll click on Face, or actually I don't want to select that face because I want these individual. I could just double click on this right here, and I could, oh no, it doesn't have it. I don't remember where the hell it was at. They do have an option in there where whenever you extrude the face, it'll actually extrude individual faces. Not going to lie to you, I don't remember where that's at, but this will work just as easy. And so what we'll do is we'll click on the extrude option. We'll extrude these just a little bit, and then we'll curve them in. Then we'll click on this. We'll do the same thing. Extrude this up and curve it in. And so with any luck, now we're getting this shape, which is much closer. I'm going to move this right about here. I'm going to move this right about here. It's starting to look a lot closer. Let's take a look-see. Go into object mode here. Yeah, that's looking way better. And you could extrude this up one more time if you wanted to. That's completely optional. One thing I want to get is that this actually comes up to about the middle, and then it curves down. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go into Vertex. Let me go into the side view. Find the seat, frame in on that. Find the seat, frame in on that. There we go. Bastardly Maya. I'm just going to scale those in. I'm going to move these back. See, that was right about here in the middle. And then these right here I'm just going to pull in like that. So this should be the shape that we have. Yeah, it looks pretty good. So right here on this edge, I'm going to select all of this edge right here. This edge. I'm going to select that edge. I'm going to pull it back. I'm sorry, not back. I'm going to pull it down and back. So something about like that. That should be about what you'd be looking at. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to select everything. I'm going to go into the top view. I'm going to go ahead and frame in on this as well. So what I want to do is I want to go into whatever this is called, vertex mode. I'm just going to pull these in. Come on. There we go. And so this should be about the shape that you have. Last thing, I'm going to select this entire edge loop. I'm just going to pull it in like so. And so now we have this nice smooth shape that we'd expect to see. I don't quite like this right here, so I'm actually going to select, I need to select all of these. I'm just going to go in the side view and make sure I'm getting the right one selected. So I'm just going to select these right here. I'm going to pull these forward. Something about like that. So now we should have this shape, and yeah, it's a lot closer to what we'd expect to see. Then last thing I'm going to do is pull these out just a little bit, not too much. So this is the bottom part of the seat. Wait, what is this nonsense? What is that shit? I'm just going to do it in edge. Screw it. Let me press 1 on the keyboard. This way I can actually fix these properly. Okay, so we got these two edges right here that need to be remanipulated. We got these two, so we're just going to pull back on these and pull up right about here. So when we, yeah, it looks good. I'm actually going to pull forward just a little bit. Then I'm going to pull down just a little bit. So, oh yeah, that looks good. I'm happy with that. All right. So let's go ahead and save it. Now, one thing you'll notice is that this isn't really well defined. You can't just click on it and redefine it. Well, I guess you could just click on these. Don't want to do it that way. Want to do it this way, so I'm just going to pull these in. But see, if I do that, then it ends up maxing out. So the easiest way to do this is normally the way I would do it. I'll just grab these right here, and I'll pull them down, something like that. So now, when I go into object mode, you can see that that's a little bit more defined. And then the last thing I'm going to do is grab these faces. I'm just going to pull up just a little bit. So when we smooth it, it'll have this more of a cushion look. And that's more of what we expect to see for a seat. So let's go ahead and save it. I'm going to press 1 on the keyboard, and then we'll go back into Maya. Yeah, we're going to go back into the program we had open, and we're going to open up a completely random window. See, this is the shit you have to deal with. You know what you want, you just can't get the words out. So anyways, we're looking at the seats right now. We're going to go ahead and do this part right here, which I just called the backrest. I don't know what the hell this part's called. I'm not a seat engineer, damn it. So this is going to be done very similarly to how this was done. In fact, we can actually take this object right here and duplicate it to this. And I try to hit the spacebar twice to go back into this window. So let's go and just press 3 on the keyboard real quick. We're going to go ahead and hit Control D. And we're just going to manipulate this like so. Let me go back in here into Google Chrome. Come back in here and here. Okay, so what we need to do right here. It's going to be very similar to what we did to the front. We're just going to select these edges. Just going to pull those, something like that. Pull them back just a little bit. There we go. Alright, so the bottom part is fine. The bottom part is fine. We can actually just kind of like bring this straight on down like that. So what we want to do is for this top part, however, we'll select all these vertices, and we'll bring these up about like that. And then for these vertices, we're just going to pull these back, and then we'll pull them out. So this should be what you get. and that's a pretty nice little seat look. Let's go ahead and go back into Chrome. So this actually curves in a little bit, and then down here where your lower back is what arcs out. So to change this, you could do an edge loop, completely optional. But I'm going to try and refrain from doing that just because, no other reason than I don't want to. So I'm just going to grab these right here. I'm just going to pull these down, probably something like that. So now we get this look. And if you want, you can also pull these out a little bit. Grab this vertex right here and pull these vertices in just a little bit, not too much. So this should be the shape you have now. So we don't quite have this up here where it indents in, so let's go ahead and just add that little bit of indentation. We'll just pull it in like so. And then up here, we'll control select, or not control select, but just select whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. You get it, YouTube. You get it. So this should be the shape that we have now. And as you can see in here into Chrome, that is very close to what you'd expect to see anyways. And then the headrest. Oh, the dreary headrest. So to do the headrest, let's go ahead and go into the side view. We're just going to create a cube. A cube. We're going to scale it down. We're going to scale it in. I'm not going to rotate it just yet. I'm actually going to hold off on rotating it just because I don't want to. So what I want to do is, because if you press 3, I'm just going to show you this real quick. I'm actually probably going to do this all in smooth mode. What we want to do is first, we want the back to, we don't want it to be sharp, but we don't want it to be flat either. So, or not flat, circular. So we'll just add an edge loop right here. This part is fine. If we go into this, let's go into vertex real quick. Let's just grab these and move this over. I'm going to go into the front view, and I'm just, by the way, I just framed in on that, the F key. Alright, so we need this view anyways. What we're going to do is we're going to add a couple edge loops. Probably, I'm going to do it right about here, where those, where there would be vertices there. So now you're starting to see it. This is starting to look more and more like a seat. How odd. I'm going to grab this face. I'm going to pull this face in just a little bit. The next thing I'm going to do is go into object mode. I actually need to center pivot this object. We're just going to squeeze it in like that and scale it down. Probably could have just scaled it in all 3 directions, but you know what? Whatever. I live life dangerously. So then you can just put that right there. Let's go ahead and see how wide this headrest really is. No, it's actually about that wide. Okay. So then we'll just grab all 3 of these. We'll hit Control-G, center pivot, and let's go ahead and move this into position. I'm just going to move it right about here. Because, you know, all seats always go through the base plate of the vehicle like that. Now, whenever I move seats into the vehicle, I always give them a little bit of a lift. Not much. Because in life, I know the seats aren't actually floating in the air, but whenever you have a seat that goes in there, there's actually rails that's kind of hovering above. That the rails are really what allows you to slide and everything. And so there is an elevation there between the rails and the bottom part of the seat, which is where you lose a lot of your change, remotes, wives, hearts, things like that. So let's go ahead and frame in on this. Is what I like to do is I like to line it up with the steering wheel, or you can line it up with the base. It just depends on how you have your scene set up. In this case, it looks like I actually lined that up pretty well. The last thing you need to do is whenever seats do line up, they generally go right about here, you know, or thereabouts. Of course, you know, you can move the seat and everything, but this is just generalized. So let's go ahead and move the seat over. And to do this, so this part right here barely comes in contact with that, so I'm going to move this part over right here where this barely comes in contact with that. Maybe just move it in just a hair more, right about there. I think that should be good. And so now that's how you do that. Now, of course, is what you could do is you could just hit Control-G and then Control-Shift-D. You could do it that way, completely optional. So it's really just up to you. I'm just decided to show you both ways on how I do that. Sometimes I'll do Control-Shift-D. Sometimes I'll just grab it and move it. It's all just as easy. So let's go ahead and save it real quick. Oh, wow, 15 minutes in, we've already done the front seats. Not bad, not bad. Alright, back seats. Back seats are done very similarly. Do we even want back seats? Wait, yeah, because it's a four-door. Duh. If it's a two-door coupe, I probably would have opted out of that. But since it is a four-door, yeah, I'm going to add them. Because that would look absolutely weird. So the back seats, I'm trying to think how I want to do this. I guess what we could do, this is actually probably going to be the easiest way of doing it. Let's just grab this bottom part. We're going to hit Control D. We're going to move it back. So, in Chrome, let me see. Okay, so the seats actually wrap around and go up to where the door would close. If I remember correctly. Yeah, so I got part of the frame right there. I guess I could use that for reference. I'm actually going to move this back to right about here. So is what I want to do. First of all, I need to press 1 on the keyboard. That's going to be key. Let me go ahead and duplicate it. Or actually, this is where I'm going to do a Control-Shift-D. Why? Okay, so is what I'm going to do. Let me make sure that... Okay, I only got one seat. I'm going to hit Control-G, Control-Shift-D. Okie dokie. I have no idea, YouTube. That's like really weird. So I'm just gonna hit Control D. It can go fuck itself. Let me see where we're at up here. So this is going to be, or actually, I know an easy way to do this. I'm going to keep that one back there for reference. But I'm going to grab both of these. I'm going to hit Control D. I'm going to press 1 on the keyboard. I'm going to move this straight back right about there. And then I'm going to click on this one. That one can go away. Boom. Yeah. Fuck that grouping crap whenever it doesn't work. Okay. Pardon my language. Not really. So I'm going to, the first thing I need to do is actually grab both of these and let's go ahead and combine them. And then once they're compound, yeah, that's a new word, compound. I'm going to click on these three faces. I'm actually going to extrude them together like so, and I'm going to hit delete. And then I'm going to double click on this edge and this edge. I'm just going to bridge them together. And so now we should be able to press 3 and we have this shape, which is close. It is close. Because what I want to do now is I want to select the back face of a seat that I can't even see. So see right here, this actually pops up some. So I'm actually going to want to make this centerpiece. There we go. I actually want to make this centerpiece where it does curve up like this. Okay, I have no idea what the hell Maya is doing right now. It's kind of pissing me off. There we go. So I'm just going to move that down. And my apologies, YouTube. Let me just select this back piece right here. I'm going to scale this in. And then I'm going to come in here. I'm going to do something. I just haven't decided what yet. I'm just going to move that right about there. That should be fine. So now we got this shape right here, which that actually doesn't look too terribly bad. And so the next thing I want to do, if we go in here, so this actually curves inwards. I don't think I'm going to add that, but I'm going to have it where this side piece does curve in. I am going to add that for sure. So to do that, I'm just going to take this piece. I'm actually going to duplicate it up just like we did for the front. And we're going to do the same thing. Now, I know this only has one stitching, whereas the front seats have 2 stitchings. I'm not all that worried about it. So, yeah, all we're going to do is just take this one. We're going to duplicate it upwards. Very easy. Then we'll take the headrest, duplicate those as well. So let's go in here real quick. We're going to hit Control D. And we're going to start moving this into place. And we'll just move that, probably something right about there, you know, where the back rear wheel's cutting into the seats, because, you know, all cars do that, dude. So what I want to do now is I'm going to grab these 2 edges, or actually, let me just grab the edges like this. I'm just going to go across, so this way I can make sure I grab all the proper edges I need to grab. So I'm just going to grab real thin like that, and then I'm just going to come across. So this way I have all these edges selected. I can just pull this forward like so. Let me go into, there we go. Alright, so what I want to do is I actually want to move this down right about there, I'm thinking. Now I will be manipulating this a little bit more in the future, just not right now. And I'm like, you could manipulate it now, it's completely optional, I'm just choosing not to. I'm actually opting out to manipulate it right now. It's mainly just there for reference. But it will be very useful later on in the future, very soon in the future. See, how do I even have... Why? Why? Oh, and the way I was able to see that? Okay, so let me just undo that real quick. Okay, so if you see right here, this has real vibrant green lines. But if you look right here, it's like some of the green lines are cut out of it. That's how I could tell that there's duplicates in there. And those duplicates can kiss my black ass. Alright, so right here we're going to actually add this. We're going to go ahead and create, well, let's go ahead and just create both of these. Let's go and just go into Control D. We're going to move these down, move them down right about here. So those are going to be there, and then I'm going to just click on I don't know what the hell that was, please don't ask me. And I'm going to actually move this one forward just a little bit, not too much, but just a little bit. Then I'm going to move that one right about there. Now I'm going to select all of these. I'm going to rotate these up just a little bit. These back here I'm going to rotate a little bit more. I'm going to deselect those, and this one will be like that. Easy. Easy every time. Easy every time. Let's go ahead and just move this one up right about here. So those are the seats. They actually look fairly stylish. As you can see, just by looking at a photo, you're able to make them just using a poly cube. Technically 3 cubes for the backrest, the bottom part of the seat, and the headrest. And once you create the seat, you're able to just duplicate them across, and you're able to do the back seats and everything like that. The center console is done very, very similarly. The only difference is we will have to use part of the dashboard to be able to create it. And we'll probably end up doing that in the next video, because the center console does take a little bit of time, and there is quite a bit of detail that's involved in it. But for the most part, just like the seats, it's actually fairly simple. Not a whole lot of work involved on that. So yeah, that's going to do it for this video. I know it's shorter than normal video. If you like this video, please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, comment what part you liked, what you'd like to see me do. If you have any requests, specifically, like, I don't know, you drive a 2006 Chevy Tahoe, you'd like to see me do a Chevy Tahoe, I'd be more than happy to do so. Also, if you did not like this video, hit the dislike button. Tell me how much you hate my guts, and how much you like to cut my hand off and feed it to a starving alligator or something, I mean, come on, guys. Share the love and hate. Let's do this. Anyways, until next time, YouTube, I shall see you later.